Hey everybody, welcome back to another Sundance review. In this video, I'm going to talk about the film that I was most anticipated for at the entire festival. It is Prisoners of the Ghostland, directed by Sion Sono and starring Nicolas Cage, none other than the madman himself. Now, I was incredibly hyped up for this film. I thought this is going to be incredible, but I had just the tiniest bit of skepticism in the back of my head. I was like, okay, it sounds like it's going to be awesome. It's the incredibly insane, off-the-wall, extreme Japanese filmmaker Sion Sono working with crazy man Nick Cage. Like, that sounds awesome, but I was like, is it too good to be true? And I'm here to tell you that, in my mind, it was a little bit too good to be true. Now, in this film, Nick Cage is a very rough around the edges bank robber who has been in prison for the last few years, and he is tasked with saving a girl played by Sofia Boutella, who has been taken to the Ghostland, and she needs to be rescued. And the governor of this town that Nick Cage is imprisoned in gives him this task. He says,
Nick Cage, you have to go save this girl. I love this girl. You have to save her. This girl is very important to the governor, and he needs to get her back.
And he only gives Nick Cage about 3 days to go to the Ghostland and bring her back safely. And with that setup, you think, okay, this is going to be a really exciting journey, a fun adventure, and we're going to see a lot of crazy stuff happen, because already in the first 10 minutes of the film, it's very stylistic the way it's done, which is what I would expect from a film by Sion Sono. This film in particular, it mashes up a lot of traditional Japanese culture and architecture and smashes it with American sensibilities and American westerns. So the film already has a really unique look to it, and right off the bat, just the costuming and the sets and the way characters act and speak and just the weird assortment of people in this town is already like, okay, this is going to be a really off-the-wall fun time. And it has a good setup. Nick Cage has to travel across the wasteland into the Ghostland and rescue this girl who has been stolen. Like, this is going to be great. The thing is, the film doesn't do enough with it. The Ghostland itself, the set is really cool. I thought there's this giant clock. There are a lot of crazy characters there. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening in the Ghostland and the way that it was constructed, but they don't do enough there. It's a film that is very meandering, unfortunately. It has such a fun setup, and then it just sort of fizzles out, and characters, I'm talking mostly about Nick Cage, just kind of stands around. Nick Cage has some great lines of dialogue in this film. Some classic Nick Cage lines are definitely coming through in this film. He has his moments, but very early on, Nick Cage gets to the Ghostland, and then he spends a really long time there, and not much happens. Like, there's just a lot of standing around and waiting. He really doesn't do much. And once we finally get to a point in the film where there's an action set piece and there are sword fights and gun fights and fist fights and there's this whole battle, you think this is really exciting. Like, the movie's, kind of delivering on what I was expecting it to be, but there's only 15 minutes left of the film. There are flashbacks throughout the middle of the film that I really enjoyed. It gave a lot more backstory into Nick Cage's character and Sofia Boutella's character. Those parts of the film were good. I thought that the first 10 minutes of the film was really interesting and exciting. There were great flashbacks in the middle that developed the characters a bit more, and then the last 15 to 20 minutes was pretty awesome as well. But there's still another 50 minutes or so in the middle of the film that just felt so meandering and just didn't do enough. In a way, it was disappointing because the film delivered on a lot of the ways that I wanted it to in some parts, but then looking back on it, I was like, there was a lot of just seemingly meaningless, boring standing around. So yeah, I don't know. It's a film that I do like. I most definitely will watch it again at some point. It has its moments, but unfortunately, it just doesn't create a compelling case throughout the entirety of the film. I felt like there was just too much time wasted on nothing. That sort of detracted from the greatness that could have been Prisoners of the Ghostland. I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5. If you're a Sion Sono fan, definitely check it out. It's probably my least favorite of all of the films from him that I have seen. I think this is the 4th film of his I've seen at this point. And that's my review for Prisoners of the Ghostland. Unfortunately, it didn't live up exactly to the expectations that I had for it. Still has great moments that I really enjoyed and can laugh at and can be disturbed by in some cases, but it just needed a little bit more meat in the middle of the film to make it a more fleshed out, entertaining watch. And that's pretty much all I have to say about Prisoners of the Ghostland. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more reviews from Sundance, definitely hit that subscribe button and watch out for more videos in the coming days or weeks. And that's pretty much all I have for you. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later.